Trials are a part of life. I want to spend this week on the Glendale Devotional Podcast addressing this issue of trials. There may be someone listening right now that's going through a great difficulty. I pray that today's devotion will be an encouragement to you as we face these trials, knowing that God is in complete control of our lives. The book of James, chapter 1, verse 12 says this, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation, for when he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him." We understand that we are happy when we endure. The Scriptures teach us to stay with God because God stays with us. When we endure suffering, we are elevated to a plateau, to a level of intimacy with God that few others can. When we endure suffering, trials and tribulation, then we gain wisdom and insights that simply are not learned apart from trials. We learn a great deal when we go through difficulties. Thirdly, when we endure suffering, we can use the pain of our lives as God uses the pain of our lives. Trials and testings are not meant to destroy us. And we can sit for the remainder of our lives and question why something happened. That's just who we are as a people. We may wonder, why did things work out the way that they did? We all do that. It's not wrong to have questions for God, but we don't question God about His ability or His lordship. But it's perfectly natural for us to have questions to God. And yet we understand that the trials and tribulations that we face, they're not meant to break us, but are used to make us stronger, to make us wiser in life. And that's why James said, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. A story was told about an ant that was seen carrying a long piece of straw. Of course, an ant can carry hundreds of times its body weight, but carrying just a piece of straw much bigger than the ant was. The ant came to a crack in the concrete that seemed like an endless gulf to that little tiny ant. So several attempts occurred in which the ant tried to take its burden across this gulf, but to no avail. So the ant dropped the straw and pushed one end of the straw across the crack, walked over the crack on the straw, and then grabbed the other end and pulled it off the crack, and it picked it up and kept on going. Now, somebody said, well, Brother John, that's just kind of a silly illustration. Well, maybe so, but there is no burden which you and I will carry faithfully and patiently that will not someday become a bridge for us to carry and will be used for the benefit of not only ourselves but for others. The God of circumstances, the story wrote, will not place a burden upon us that is heavier than what He can bear. So many times we undergo trials for the benefit of other people. Sometimes we go through stuff for the benefit not only of ourselves, but for others. In John chapter 9, verse 3, there was a man who had been born blind. And the disciples asked Jesus, who sinned, this man or his parents? John chapter 9, verse 3, Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of God should be revealed in him. Now think about your difficulty and think about your trials and how God can use that to show His glory, to show the works of God. Paul said in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, beginning with verse 3, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God." Sometimes difficulty happens in our lives, not only for our benefit, for God to make us and to mold us. Sometimes it's for someone who just needs to see a child of God who's going through difficulty and how their faith is not shaken.